Saturday night's main event is in the books. They need to start putting numbers on these so you know what I'm referring to. We'll call it CM Punk versus Jey Uso. We have two new world champions. And I thought the show overall was okay. It was all right. It was fine. There are a couple of talking points I think we do need to get into. But as always, please do let me know what you thought about it down there in the comments. There is no right or wrong answer as long as you're nice and respectful. And if you are going to poke around down there, which is a stupid thing for me to say, please hit the subscribe button. Because as we know, in 2025, subscribers are worth more than gold. I say that as a joke, but I may actually mean it. But otherwise, sit down, grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea or some water. Let's talk about SNME Nov 25. So Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre kicked things off, and instantly I was like, well, Cody Rhodes ain't losing that championship. There was no way Drew McIntyre was going to win that title in the first match of, it's sort of a PLE, sort of a pay-per-view, but it kind of sits somewhere in between the middle. It's like a halfway house. And also, we were going to get two other championship changes. I think WWE still could have taken the risk. We talked about this in other videos, but they decided not to. I thought it was fine. The match itself was really, really good. It just lacked jeopardy for me. As soon as I saw Cody and Drew come out to start with, I was like, there ain't no way. It just would have been crazy to me, given the way that WWE books things. Really enjoyed the fact that Drew made Lillian Garcia say the real American Dream, whatever the flub the title was. But then I was like, we could have made the whole story that, but we only brought it up on SmackDown 24 hours earlier. But again, these are small things. What I like the most is that we did have a stipulation that Drew McIntyre could win via DQ or via countout. And so that's what he tried to do. He tried to win those two things. I thought the best one was when he kind of popped Cody off the apron. He went into the announce table, probably destroyed it too. But given the way the match was going, it also made me realize, I kind of knew this anyway after SmackDown, WWE has only done this to pretend that there's a chance Drew McIntyre could win. I do think you can have a criticism here, which is, and it could tie into other things that are happening that we don't know about. Drew was never going to win. Why didn't we just end it after WrestlePalooza, whenever the last time they fought was? What was the benefit of this? Now, I think we'll go forward to Survivor Series and they'll be on opposite teams, and therefore the WWE title doesn't need to be up for grabs. So you can actually extend the feud for a few more weeks, and then after Survivor Series, I'm sure we'll have something new for Drew. But Drew McIntyre is in a very curious position. Of course, he did hit the Claymore here, but it wasn't a proper Claymore. And then he does have beef in his bonnet because he brought the title in after the referee got knocked down. He was going to use it. Cody stopped it. The belt was on the floor. He gives him a DT onto the title, hits the crossroads 1, 2, 3. And yes, very similar to what happened in the Kevin Owens match, which I also think was the Saturday night's main event. I don't want to act like that's a copy and paste job just now, because I think Drew, being the heel character is going to come out and say that, oh, well, you did it against Kevin Owens, and I did it against me. And if that's the case, then it was good. That's a good piece of booking. But yeah, I don't know what you do with Drew McIntyre now. He's not going to win the world title anytime soon. I mean, you could put him on Raw and he could beat CM Punk and go back to that feud, but that doesn't feel realistic whatsoever. I still go on about the fact that maybe Randy Orton's going to return and turn heel, but now if you do that, it'll be Cody versus Randy for the championship. So, I mean, Drew has a feud with Jacob for 2 when he gets back, but in the same way that we talk about Bron Breakker and Seth, surely Jacob for 2 has to win that match. So if you're a Drew McIntyre fan, I think you've woken up this morning and you are probably a bit confused, we'll go with. Maybe you're a bit sad about what's going to happen for him next, but we do need to wait and see because you never know. Again, I was joking when I said it, and of course people take it serious. It's just a metaphor, an analogy, an example. Pick whichever one you want. If all of a sudden it turned out it was going to be The Rock versus Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania, even with no title on the line, that's a huge thing for Drew. It's not going to happen, right? That's just an example. There are things you can do that aren't for the championship that can bolster Drew McIntyre. But as a guy, we don't know this for sure, it's sort of rumors and murmurings, that does seem to get, not in a bad way, but frustrated is probably not the right word. He just wants the best for his character, and he wants to make sure all the work he's doing does have a proper payoff. He could be a bit annoyed. I don't know. If anything's going to come out, it will come out. But the match was really fun. In terms of just waking up on a Sunday or going to bed late on a Saturday, of course, if you're in America, and watching two people just kick the hoo-ha out of each other with a controversial finish that can probably bleed into SmackDown, I thought it was totally fine. Like, Cody Rhodes, I think, is a great babyface, a great champion. I think Drew McIntyre is just fantastic. Like, they're at the top of their game at the moment. It just kind of feels like the WWE title, as mad as this is to say, is in no man's land. Like, I don't know where it's going. And I think you always want to see those breadcrumbs a little bit just so you can sort of anticipate and get excited about it. And there is the fact that Cody won with one crossroads. Like, I understand he dropped Drew McIntyre onto a championship. But I'm going to say this on all my videos, everywhere you see me, be it freelance or here, 2026 has to be the year of finishes going back to being finishers. CM Punk hit 5 GTS in the main event. And here I understand, once again, Drew McIntyre went into a belt beforehand. But it's just so wibbly wobbly. And usually when you see Crossroads, Cody does hit about 57,000 of them. And therefore now, I mean, he hit a super Cody cutter onto a super Crossroads onto Seth Rollins at Crown Jewel. And Seth Rollins kicked out. We shouldn't have done that. That was a massive mistake. And these are nerd things. They don't affect my enjoyment of the show. I just think to ensure that we can tell stories in proper ways and interesting ways and new ways, what's old is new again. It's just something that I personally would like to see come back. And maybe that can happen after John Cena retires. Because he kind of started this with the AAs. But I don't want to get too bogged down with all that. Good match. The winner that I expected. And I think the big talking point is Drew McIntyre. And of course, we'll do that on a video. Jade Cargill versus Tiffany Stratton was great. Excellent. No notes as far as I'm concerned. We just had Tiffany Stratton get destroyed by Jade Cargill, and we tied it into the fact that Tiffany's got a bad knee and that Jade has gotten healed, and that's no remorse. She's a supervillain. She was a superhero. I don't mind WWE doing that with all of Jade Cargill's matches. I understand it's a few people that, I can't believe it didn't go very long, rah, rah. You have to play to people's strengths. If Jade Cargill, and I don't know this, I don't know the answer, I'm just talking with the information that's come my way. If Jade Cargill is better than shorter matches, put her in shorter matches, even if she is the world champion. Even if she main events a show. You don't have to have a 25-minute plus main event, at least not for me. I think wrestling should be about variety and having a dessert cart of stuff, and you just pick off what you want at the time. And I actually think, watching Jade kind of bludgeon somebody made Saturday's main event more fun, because you had a Cody Drew was kind of long, then this was kind of short, and then Dom was kind of long, and then CM Punk thingamajig was in the middle somewhere, I would say, for something like that. So I had no bones with this whatsoever. In fact, I just really enjoyed it. And I think that Jade Cargill can start afresh now. I think the heel turn was correct. It also justifies the fact she went bad guy. I know I talk about that all the time, but it's so damn true. If you were going to take your moral stance and throw it out the window and turn your back on the fans, you then have to have something for show for it. Otherwise, you're like a goober. And finally, after 9-10 months of chasing, she become the champion. That works for me. Tiffany Stratton has a get out of jail free card. My leg was hurt. I shouldn't have competed, which is Nick Aldis's fault. Why did he sign off on it? I like the finish as well. Couple of power bombs, a big old Jaded 1, 2, 3. I just thought they worked really well together to tell a story. And WWE loves that stuff. I mean, the matches are important, but they're far more of a narrative, sports entertainment-led company than anything else. I don't even know what else you have to say about it. Like, I did like the fact that Tiffany at one point threw Jade into Simba the Steel Steps. That's how Jade got busted open a few weeks ago. But she kind of shrugged that off too, and she just kept on going. I just thought she looked so damn dominant here. So when you get to SmackDown, if she can cut the big promo or do something like that, I think once again, you're going to get a lot of copy and pasting here that worries me. But this title is probably not going to be defended at Survivor Series either. And you can even have Team Jade versus Team Tiffany or variation of. But I think they'll be on other sides of the ring. So, of course, that means you can get through that and start heading to the Royal Rumble. But I think Jade can hold it for a while. It's a shame that Bianca Belair doesn't sound like she's any time coming back soon, although, of course, health and happiness first and foremost. But what I would love to do is see Jade Cargill hold it to WrestleMania and then Bianca Belair beats her. Because obviously that match sells itself given the story, and Bianca Belair should become the champion. Like, Bianca Belair is such an underrated babyface, but again, I'd rather her hand was okay or whatever else she is dealing with. But I think Jade has managed to climb up the ladder in the last 24 hours. I thought she was good on SmackDown. Again, it's always less is more. She's a less is more wrestler. I think WWE's finally accepted that. This is a weird comparison, but it's a bit like Goldberg when he came in 2003, and everyone's like, well, we need to book him like a WWE version of Goldberg. No fan wanted to see that. No fan wanted to see Goldberg in 15-minute plus matches. Just give him 5 and figure it out every time. So he's facing a Triple H, you figure it out. If he's facing a Randy Orton, you figure it out. If he's facing a Rock, you figure it out. Nobody wanted to see that. They wanted to see explosiveness. That was his USP. And if you start running it into the ground, it feels boring. Well, you take him off TV, or you put him in a different angle, or you can put him in a tag team, right? I'm not saying that Bill Goldberg in a tag team would have been a good idea, but after 6 months, if you really feel like we've got to do something else, then you give it a go. And I think it's the same with Jade Cargill, right? She is better in short bursts, not because she can't go longer, but because she's better in that kind of environment. So that's what we should do. And I think we should all have the wherewithal to have that sort of self-reflection or a self-awareness. I think I'm quite good at that in my own wrestling matches. There's one company that I won't tell that I say, I should be topped off at 10 minutes because I think we can tell the story and it's going to benefit the show overall because most people are going longer, so I'll go shorter. And again, it's like an adrenaline hit just when I think a fan base needs it. But really like this. Huge fan of Jade Cargill being the champion. I think if she double down on it and really turn her into the super duper mega star, she's just going to be a heel. Tiffany Stratton, I don't really want to see the rematch. just because I think you need to do the rematch at least once, but Jade needs to win that as well. I don't want this to be a 3-match program and Tiffany wins it back. I don't think that's right. I think Tiffany should spin off into something else, but we wait and see. In terms of on this night, it ticked the box, and it was really good. There's not that much to say about it. I'm amazed I've gone on about it for as long as I have, but it's almost like WWE just gave it the most simplest booking ever. Surprise, surprise, it worked. Now, everything needs to be go over the top. I'm going to talk about shenanigans later, but I'll leave it till later. I think my favourite match of the night was Dominic versus Rusev versus Penta. It's just hilarious. It's so over the top. Once again, the jeopardy was lacking. I didn't think Dominic was going to lose the IC title. But just wonderful, man. Like, he is becoming Eddie Guerrero now, is the old condom, and that's totally cool. Even when he goes full-on babyface, just do what Eddie used to do. Still do all the tricks and the nonsense, but you just do it against bad guys rather than the good guys, which is what he did with Rusev here. Rusev thought he won with the accolade. Rusev was brilliant in this match. He took like a death penta driver, the most terrifying thing I'd ever seen. And when he heard the bell ringing, which of course was Dominic Mysterio cheating, he celebrated. It was so good the way he celebrated. He was so over the moon. And then when he looked over and he saw Dom and the referee told him, the way his face instantly changed, I was like, that is wrestling. It's all I ever want in my life. Then they were trying to smack each other with hammers. You also had the bit when Dominic did the Eddie Guerrero chair spot and laid on the floor after giving the chair to Rusev. The ref was like, it's a triple threat WWE rules match, you idiot. There are no DQs. So Rusev just killed him. Then Penta kicked the chair right into Rusev's face. Somehow Penta wound up with the hammer. He went to smack Dom, who of course ducked, so he hit Rusev instead. This was so funny, man. This is WWE Babyface 101. Because Penta had missed his target, even though you could argue that Dom was the face of Rusev and the heel, he was mortified. Why do you care about Rusev? He's not your friend. You want to beat him as well. But he essentially distracted himself. Dominic booted him one, smashed the frogs. 1, 2, 3. I mean, that is goofy wrestling for life in many ways, but it worked for what this match was. And fair play for Penta for agreeing to it. Same for Rusev. And I just think Dominic Mysterio should be the world champion. We'll give it 2 years by 2027. If you can continue to build him up and eventually turn him properly babyface and continue to have this kind of energy in his matches, well, ironically, given that he is his fake dad, or real dad in terms of the story, I don't want to say could be the next Eddie Guerrero in terms of the impact that he has, because Eddie Guerrero was one of a kind. But he can be that type of babyface that we haven't had for a long old while, because you need to have certain qualities, and he has all of them. And he just works, right? He's just got something about him. I thought this was so damn cool. I was such a big fan. And yeah, Rusev and Penta played their parts as well. Dominic Mysterio post-WrestleMania has not had a proper Intercontinental title feud. So now that Penta and Rusev have kind of fallen into the position, I think is good. The rumor is that Survivor Series, it could be John Cena versus Dominic Mysterio. No problem with that. I actually think in terms of John Cena's retirement tour, it's those kind of matches that were lacking with new wrestlers. And Dom would be right at the top of that list, because I think, especially if you let them promo against each other and Dom gets the green light to say whatever he wants, I think it could be tremendous, because Dominic has a certain way about him. And he's still the IC champion. I mean, coming up for, what is it, May, June, July, August, September, October, 7 months, which is pretty decent. But he does kind of need the defining feud. But actually what he's done is he's defined it himself with his actions. And of course, he's a AAA mega champion too. It was just so easy to watch, and it was so entertaining. And once again, everybody went into this to play their part, and they all had their highs, and they all had their lows, all the ups and downs, of course. You can check that over at Culture Wrestling. And please do subscribe to me like I am talking about. But everything I want from this kind of a match. Rusev's been in a funny position ever since he's come back from WWE, but he is one of my favorite wrestlers, and I think this match kind of proved it. And Penta just rules. We said this in a video the other day, and some people went nuts. At some point, I'd also throw Penta into the main event scene. Doesn't have to win a world championship, but with so many shows, let's say CM Punk is the champion for 2.5 years, which he won't be. That's ridiculous. But at some point, you are going to need an opponent like Penta. I just give it a go and see if the fans go with it. If the fans back him, like they did with Jey Uso, for example, there's no reason why he can't do it. He's good on promos. He's so over the top in a good way. And I think Rusev could enter that as well, but you know, you need more building blocks put in place. And Dominic, of course, 100%. So I think it was the best match. If I watch wrestling to be entertained, this is the best match for me on the evening. Had such a good time. I didn't think Dominic was going to lose, but actually I'd be happy for Penta to win or Rusev to win, because I kind of love them all equally. You should watch this. If you want Simon Miller's only going to watch one match pick, it's this triple threat match. Also took the stupid WWE rules and made that work as well. I appreciate they were kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and we know this is dumb. Honestly, it was absolutely excellent. And now I think about it, I have to really go back and look at what else has happened. I think one of my favorite Saturday Night Main Events matches overall, ever since it had returned, I was a big, big fan. Before I main event, we also had John Cena announcing his tournament. The last time is now tournament. Why don't we just call it the last tournament, or the last time is a tournament, or something like that? It's the worst name. Who even cares? And it's going to be 16 people, I think. The big thing that sent people off is John Cena said Raw, SmackDown, and people outside of WWE. So instantly people go, it's Edge. And listen, maybe it will be Edge. There is a 0.1% chance it's going to be Edge. It's not going to be Edge. Adam Copeland left AEW, or took a break from AEW to film Percy Jackson. And also, of course, I would love to see it from a fan point of view. But when I get rid of that hat, no, he shouldn't be allowed to do this. He's under contract to AEW. And WWE would never do that, vice versa, and nor should they, and nor should New Japan or Ring of Honor or anybody else. If you have people under contract, even if a cool opportunity comes up, unless there's going to be an amazing trade, there's no reason to do it. And it sucks. Of course it sucks. But that's like when, I watch a lot of soccer for my American friends' football, right? I'd love to see this guy play with that guy. I'd love to see Ronaldo and Messi on the same team. But it can't happen. So shut up. Stick a sock in it. You can't just make up these scenarios because it works for what you want to see, even though it would be cool. I'm not saying that. I still think Gunther should win this. I think Gunther versus John Cena, the more I've talked about it, is fantastic. And John Cena should probably be the IC champion. Because either two things I don't mind John Cena beating Dom. I really don't, because it's John Cena. And if Gunther were then to beat John Cena and re-become the Intercontinental Champion, of course we know that story. And if John Cena retires as the IC Champion and then we do another tournament for that, bit tournament heavy. Basically, I loved it when Sting retired as a Tag Team Champion. That meant something. And I think John Cena's in that bracket too. So if you know that formula works, I've got no problem with anyone copy and pasting. Like, nothing new in pro wrestling. Like, AEW wouldn't have come up with that concept. But a nice idea. I think given how big John Cena is and has and always will be, you should treat his last match like it's a world championship, which is why we're doing a tournament. There should be some surprise people. I think Joe Hendry should be in it, given how much he's talked about having that last match, but he shouldn't win the whole thing. I don't mean that in a bad way. I would have loved to have seen Joe versus John, but just not as the last match, right? That's the only thing I think you need to, unless he's going to be tied into mega storylines, but just doesn't feel like he's there yet. So, really, really good. I'm glad they've announced it now. I think the first matches are a week Monday, so maybe the brackets gets announced next week. It's just a fun thing to do. And it keeps John Cena on TV, even though when he's not going to be on TV, no issues. All right, main event, CM Punk versus Jey Uso. Let me get the negative out the way. They didn't click in the way that I thought they could do, which happens. I actually don't think it's a bad thing now that I've said that. Like, you can get in the ring with somebody and think it's going to be the best thing ever, and for whatever reason, the chemistry just doesn't work. Still thought it was a fine match. I am not bothered about this neck breaker. I will just tell you now. I said this on Ups and Downs. I'm going to say it here as well, because I need to make it clear. Everyone is allowed an opinion. Doesn't matter your history with wrestling, how long you've been watching wrestling. You're allowed to watch that and come up with any reaction that you want. I think some are way too mean, but again, you're allowed to be mean. We live in a free society. I don't think it makes Jey Uso a bad wrestler, and for a man that does wrestle, I can tell you, sometimes you do something in the ring, and then you have a breakdown mentally because you do not understand why you did that. It's like your brain fought you, and I think that's what Jey Uso did here. CM Punk went to give him a neck breaker. Jey Uso turned into a clock. He just kept going and basically fell down. I mean, it kind of looked like CM Punk booted him in the head, but you never know with these things. I don't want to start speculating on something that is just rumor and innuendo, although yes, my eyes would tell me he did do that, and he gave him the neck breaker. CM Punk can come out and say that he didn't like working with Jey Uso. I'm talking in a hypothetical here, and I would listen to CM Punk because he's been in the ring with him, as I would listen to any other wrestler. But like I say, from my own personal experience, which is why I have to talk like this, and this is why you don't have to talk like this should you not wish to, I have been there, and I've done stuff, and I'm in the locker room, and it could be the best match of my career, and that one thing I'm like, why did I do that? And there's no answer. Something happens. You just have a bit of a and your robotics break down. I didn't think there was anything else wrong with the match. It just didn't really flow in the way that I was expecting. I kind of mind and don't mind Punk hitting 5 GTSs because I understand it. I can figure it out. I can do basic maths. WWE sees Jey Uso as a massive star, so they want to protect him. And you had that one bit as well when CM Punk gave back with a spear and it was a bit wibbly wobbly. I mean, it happens. It just happens. I thought the match was okay, right? I think there's anything to write home about. If you said you were only going to pick one match from Saturday's main event, I wouldn't choose this one. But sometimes it's not actually about the journey, it's about the destination. And there's so many things I loved about the ending. The last few minutes were really, really good. I thought they got the crowd and they were super duper into it. CM Punk winning, he is the most over babyface on Raw, so Seth Rollins is going to get injured and you need to retroactively book things. Absolutely the right thing to do. And also, my favorite thing, and I love shenanigans, but there was no shenanigans. There was no distractions. There was no disqualifications. There was no visions. There was no run-ins. Sometimes, especially on a Saturday night's main event, which again kind of sits here, if a proper pay-per-view sits here and a WrestleMania sits up here, you just just want two people to compete. One guy wins, one guy loses. I didn't want the title to be held up. I didn't want to go into some random tournament, which is lame booking. It's so boring booking in 2025. What kind of world do we now live in where having a very obvious winner is meant to be considered bad? If you had done a surprise here, and you do a surprise Survivor Series, and you do a surprise at the Royal Rumble, I mean, definitely be ones at the Royal Rumble, you're taking away from the surprises. And you can say, why weren't Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed here? Sum it up on Raw. Let Paul Heyman cut a promo. Let them say something. As long as WWE does double down on that, fine. I just would have been bored, maybe that's the right word, if we just didn't have a winner here. You need to have a world champion. Somebody should be the world champion. And why not CM Punk? He's more over than he ever has been since he's come back. People love him. He sells merchandise. He's the best promo WWE has got, or at least one of them, top 5 minimum. So it just ticks all the boxes. Jey Uso did also do a very interesting Instagram post, and he was kind of reacting to the Jey Uso sucks chance here. Maybe we are going to use this to turn heel, so that would be a nice pivot too, especially because on the internet at least, maybe not on the live fans just yet, there is a huge contingent, or maybe a vocal minority contingent, that do not like Jey Uso. Again, I think some people go too far. You cannot like him, to say some of the things that I've read. It's neither here nor there. I think it keeps Raw solid as a show, and of course this wasn't the best way to crown CM Punk as a champion. He knows that. WWE knows that. That's not how wrestling works. When somebody goes down who is such a pivotal part of the show, Seth Rollins, and your major heel, you go, where were we going? We now have to bring that forward, hence why Bron Breakker speared Seth out of his shoes. CM Punk was the right guy. I hope he gets into some proper big feuds. Once again, Survivor Series around the corner. He will be in War Games, so you can hold up him having any singles challenges until then. Maybe Jey Uso is even on the bad guy side. So when all was said and done, I just kind of looked at it and thought the match was okay. The match was fine. Once again, nothing to write home about, but the right thing to do. And that's all I cared about here. I just cared about someone being the champion. I wouldn't even mind it if it was Jey Uso. I really wouldn't have done, in comparison to everybody running in. I'm excited to hear CM Punk's first promo. Excited to see who's going to come out and say stuff to him. I thought he did a very good job after the fact. People in the arena seem very excited about this too. So you must have done something right. So yeah, I'm totally fine with it, and I'm certainly not going to, hang my hat as my mouth breaks on the fact that a neck breaker didn't go well, or the fact he doesn't do spears in the way that some people think he should do spears. Wrestling is more about what you do in the ring. I think Jey Uso is better than people give him credit for, but everything else he brings to the what do I call it, the industry, the business, the game, is just as important as what he does in the ring. You need aspects of everything. Because again, you can have the best in-ring worker ever, but if they're not doing anything on the microphone or they're not connecting with the crowd, they're not going to get anywhere either. It's not just a case of one or two things. There's like 72 things, which is why it's really hard to get to the top of WWE. But yes, big fan of CM Punk winning. Big fan to see what they are going to do on Raw. I'm cool with it. You can get mad at me. It's fine. There was Saturday night's main event. Again, I think it's one of those shows you could probably, you should go watch the clip of Jade Cargill winning, and you should watch a clip of, or you should watch a John Cena video and watch a clip of CM Punk winning. Otherwise, it kind of came and went. I have no idea what the plan for this was going to be. It was going to be Seth versus CM Punk. I doubt CM Punk would have won here. But hey ho, that's how the wrestling game goes. Ultimately, I watched it. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed myself. My biggest criticism was what we're going to do with finishers, which makes me such a nerd. But there you go. Now, of course, listen, there's a comment box down there. I've already talked about it. Let me know what you thought. I know a lot of people are going to be so mad at Jey Uso. That's cool, man. Let's remember he's a real human being. Of course, be critical, but respect, I think, is an underrated thing in 2025. Otherwise, like the video, share the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, especially if you're on mobile. That's really good because sometimes YouTube doesn't even tell people I put a video live. Patreon.com/SimonMiller316 if you want to support me there. Go to gridofmine.com/Simon. Use code Simon. It's 30% off before Halloween weekend ends, which will be Sunday the 2nd at midnight or something, so definitely get your subs. It ships worldwide. They're the best. Simon316 on social media, so you can come and tell me how wrong I am to my digital face. Otherwise, TikTok for dumb wrestling videos that I enjoy doing. Simon Miller, Cameo Simon Miller for birthday messages or weddings or shout-outs or Christmas or Easter, etc., etc. And ProWrestlingTees.com/Simon Miller to have stuff like this. Warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum t-shirts. Otherwise, we come to the end of another wrestling week. We have, 24 hours before it kicks off again. So enjoy your Sunday. I appreciate you stopping by. I'll see you in a week.